Welcome to the podcast about venture capital, where investors and founders alike can learn how VCs make decisions and reach conviction. Your host is Nick Moran, and this is The Full Ratchet.
Welcome back to TFR for another edition of Investor Stories. On this segment, the experts talk about a startup that failed and the causes of that failure. Here's the segment called Post-Mortems. On today's special segment, we have Tom Tunguz of Redpoint. Tom, can you tell us a story about a portfolio company that failed and why it failed?
Sure. Let's see. Yeah, we invested in I won't name them by name just because I didn't get clearance ahead of time, but we invested in a company that was building a platform as a service in a new area. And the team was exceptional, had gotten all the right pedigree, was really great. The technology worked really well. And we were going after a brand new area. And it failed, I think, predominantly because when you're creating a new category of software, the buyer wants an end-to-end solution. They don't want a better layer in the stack. In other words, if, let's say, self-driving cars are new, when you're early in the category creation process, people haven't gotten to the point yet where they're distinguishing between different electric motors or different kinds of tires. They just want to buy the best self-driving car. And 5 or 6 or 10 years later, they might get to the point where they realize, hey, like this piece or this part of the car isn't that great. I'm looking for one that does a little bit like this. And so that's been a learning for me, which is in category creation opportunities, you want to solve the problem end to end. You want to have a solution rather than a product, and you don't want to build a better layer.
That's great. On today's special segment, we have Grace Isford of Canvas Ventures. Grace, can you tell us a story about a portfolio company that failed and why it failed?
Yeah, this one was a pretty stubborn CEO who was really focused on kind of one sort of product vision. And he was kind of fixated on kind of this direct-to-consumer product, but unfortunately wasn't really humble or open-minded enough to listen to kind of either board members or his own employees or customers that were saying, that actually isn't what we want. And in fact, there was a much bigger kind of monetization opportunity if he had kind of switched to an enterprise strategy. So unfortunately, the company failed, right? And so it's unfortunate to see that happen, but ultimately the importance of also being a pretty open-minded and humble CEO who still listens to feedback from others.
I assume that when the investment was made, you were on board with the consumer approach?
Totally. Yeah. But you never know. Things change in a company life cycle. Again, all back to understanding your customer and your go-to-market. If your customers aren't loving you for XYZ reason, or if the kind of ACV or kind of average contract value is really low, then you're going to have to probably reshift things again to get to that 100 million revenue opportunity.
Yeah. I was just reading an article yesterday from the founder of StubHub, and I loved it because it's the first time I've seen it in print, and I've talked about it a lot, but I'd never seen it in print before. Somebody criticized VCs for using the excuse of market timing when he talked about it's really about market need. And if you do your homework on whether the market need exists or not, then you'll know whether, the time is right. So
100% agree with that.
On today's special segment, we have Ben Casnocha of Village Global. Ben, can you tell us a story about a portfolio company that failed and why it failed?
Just before co-founding Village Global, I invested in Dick Costolo's company, Chorus. So Dick originally met Dick in Chicago when he was running FeedBurner. Brad Feld had introduced me to him way back in the day, and stayed in touch with Dick. And then he obviously went to run Twitter, and then started Chorus. He raised a seed or Series A round. It was like $15, $20 million on day zero from Index and Foundry and others. And I was, lucky enough to participate with a small check in that round. And the vision of Chorus was it was going to be an app that helps people exercise using social accountability. So, hey, you want to run a marathon? Hey, you're looking to lose some weight or get healthier with exercise routines. You use the app and it plugs into your social network, and you're more likely to achieve whatever it is you're looking for. And Dick, in addition to just being a phenomenal entrepreneur and multi-time successful entrepreneur and CEO, also went really deep on sort of the psychology of behavior change and what psychology of social proof and accountability and all that. So it's very compelling. I think about a year and a half into it, Dick shut down the company, returned some of the money to shareholders, and moved on. So the product never really gained traction. It was a beautifully designed product, but I think one of the lessons I took from that experience was that it's very hard to push people towards their better angels. There's some folks, some VCs will say like they like to back the 7 deadly sins. Any product that appeals to sins and darkness in human nature,
right? Because
ultimately those tend to be stronger motivators. So products that are dependent on people striving to be a better human being, there's a very high bar for those to work. And there are products that have done that successfully, and products like Strava and so on have been reasonably successful exercise related apps. But generally speaking, an app that is all about positive behavior change is really hard to make work.
On today's special segment, we have Courtney Reum of M13. Courtney, can you tell us a story about a portfolio company that failed and why it failed?
There was a company a few years ago that kind of started a product that was meant to be, they called it kind of Pinterest for guys. And you can imagine what that would be like. People fell into two camps. They would either say, okay, I totally get what Pinterest for guys would be like. And other people said, I don't buy this at all. But the company was having great success with engagement. People, when they did come on, they would spend tons of time, everything else. And it had great metrics, like a lot of things, Pinterest included. When it first started, there was no monetization. So, of course, the company's burning through money. And, I think so much of being a founder is getting people internally and externally to see your vision. Long story short, the company just wasn't able to raise the next round of financing. And it was really, in my opinion, only due to the lack of willpower of the founder and willpower to get it done, because I know that other great founders I've been around, like founders of Bonobos or other people that I've mentioned, they would have willed it to the finish line. Mm-hmm. And so I think it was a little bit of just kind of that grit and will and moxie, and as they say in sports, bite down on your mouthpiece and move forward, and a little bit of the fact that he just wasn't able to get people to see the vision. But I think the two are related. And so I told myself, again, it comes back to the founder or founding teams. I would just never back anyone again that I didn't think at the very least just had the grit to kind of lay it all on the line, because this person kind of said, I don't want to hear the same feedback and I'm going to shut it down, versus, most times all you need is one, right? You need one person to believe, if it's a partnership or if it's money. So that's the difference between, as you know, a lot of these companies take like Twitch or some company that's had a crazy pivot, or even what Slack started as. If they gave up after that, we would never have Slack, but they made, a 180 shift in what they had based on the founder, based on vision, based on having some money. So often it's not about finding success right away. It's about living to fight another day.
So true. So true. And founder of Bonobos, Andy Dunn, another West suburban Chicago guy.
Very correct. Yes. And he's an old friend, and he, I'm forgetting where he went to high school, but he definitely went to college at Northwestern. We were actually both Sigma Chi's at different universities. Andy's a big Cubs fan and a big Chicago guy, as is his co-founder Brian Spaley.
That will conclude this installment of Investor Stories. If you're enjoying the program and would like to see it continue, take a moment and leave a 5-star review in iTunes. Also, if you'd like updates on new content from TFR, as well as the top 10 VC articles every week, go to fullratchet.net and sign up for the newsletter. Okay, that will wrap things up for today. Until next time, over-prepare, choose carefully, and invest confidently. Thanks for joining me.